one who are resilient, and when their resilience is tested by unexpected events, they use this as an opportunity to rise above and be even stronger. And second, who are weighed down by these events and can't cope with stressors of life. Stressors can be in any form in your life. It can be a difficult boss, parents, even unsupportive people in your life, some event. But if you're not strong emotionally and mentally, these people and events will break you down easily. I can't promise you that you will never encounter or find such people or events in your life. But what I can promise is that if you follow these two steps that I'm about to share, you will not be as affected by these situations as you probably are now. Number one step is to master your emotions. Emotional mastery can be achieved by regulating your emotions. How do you regulate them? I'll tell you what, when something happens in your life or you encounter a difficult person, difficult meaning, see, we all have our stories, we hail from different backgrounds. So it's very natural that we will trigger each other one way or another. Meeting someone who triggers you can make that person difficult for you. Instead of flashing out, find a different meaning for that situation. If you seek solace in crying, anger, and anxiety, etc., if that's how you deal with it, find some other ways of dealing with these emotions. Because anger and crying and anxiety, these are short term remedies. If you really want to be emotionally and mentally strong, you should divert these feelings into healthier activities such as workouts, setting goals for your future. Emotions are hard to regulate when they are triggered. Mostly when you feel that someone is not honoring your emotions or your needs, you will be triggered. What I mean by that, let's say you are used to working in a specific setting and you join this new office, okay? And you are given this cabin, and this cabin is nice, but it is completely opposite to what you are used to, right? So, in a way, your needs are not honored, right? You want something else, but you are given something else. And the very common response will be to maintain control and feel safe. But let me tell you something, the more you are attached to having control, the more you're attached to people behaving in a certain way, the more you're attached to being seen as now specific someone, being seen as smart or being seen a certain way, um, the more you're attached to these things, the more your brain will look out for times and situations that deny these needs. And this is scientifically proven too. Your brain reacts strongly to negative experiences. Why? So it can create patterns to avoid danger in the future. So yes, brain has a negativity bias, right? It is always going to look out for the negative, for the negative. Why? So that it can, when a negative, when there is a negative experience, it creates an activity inside the brain, right? So it becomes very active, and it is now trying to create a pattern, like it's trying to understand the structure of things so that if the same thing happens in the future, it knows how to save you, you know. So that's how it is conditioned, or not conditioned, but that's how your brain is, right? And so yes, brain has a negativity bias, and you can change this default programming by actively shifting your emotional state. Remember, I said actively. It requires your active participation. There are a lot of things you can do. You can write down how you feel, let it be processed. Writing is always a good option. You can detach from the situation, master that air energy. If you're familiar with the energetic terms, so you can master the air energy, you can detach, and you can release control over the situation, over the person. If it is something triggering, you can work on your triggers. You can identify them first, and I talked about it in the shadow work episode too. So you need to identify them and then work with them. You can work on your chakras. So if you're into spirituality, you can work on your chakras. And yes, we do have energy centers in our body, and we believe, some of us believe there are seven, but no, there are not seven. There are more than seven energy centers or chakras. So you can work on that. Now, this is more spiritual stuff. We'll talk about it someday too. You can always meditate, focus on your breathing and, let it go and all of that. You can perform EFT if you're familiar with the process. You can always dance, you can sing, let the energy flow out of your body. You can change your focus. So how do you do that? By giving a different meaning to the situation. Okay, how do you do that? So if a person hurts you, instead of saying that this person hurt me, you can thank that person that they taught you not to be dependent on them, right? That your emotional reaction should not be dependent on what they are doing or how they react, right? So you can also work on your projections. So we'll talk about projections also in one of the coming episodes, hopefully. So these are some of the ways you can regulate your emotions. Okay. Second step is to prioritize your wellness. If you don't prioritize your wellness, nobody is going to come to you and tell you or ask you to do that. If you prioritize your wellness, you will be able to make choices in your life that are good for you, knowing when to withdraw. Take a stand for yourself. Let certain people leave your life for good. It makes you mentally and emotionally strong because it is not easy to do. But when you do it, you're one step closer to being emotionally strong. Now, some people may argue that being in toxic relationships or situations and dealing with it shows your emotional strength, shows how strong you are. But it doesn't actually. It shows your weakness. When you're in a toxic situation, when you're at your low, when you're feeling bad about yourself, when you're sad about your life, you're actually pulling in the negative energy more and more. You draw more of it into your life. You start making bad choices for yourself without even consciously knowing. It's like it's like you don't understand at the moment what's good for you, what's bad for you, who is good for you, who is bad for you. And we live in a selfish world. Let's face it. We have our own priorities. Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to come and ask you to invest in your well being. And I think nobody should. You should be smart enough to choose right from wrong. But you can do so, you can only do it if you prioritize your well being. Especially if you've had traumatic experiences in life, you should not shy away from taking time for yourself and reparenting your inner child. Cut off people who make you feel bad about yourself. Make choices that are good for you. Take care of your inner self. And I'll repeat, it's not easy. There will be people who will make you feel bad about your self care structure. There will be times when you will feel like you are doing something very selfish, or maybe you will not feel motivated to do so. But hey, like I said, the more you do it, the more you do this difficult challenge, the more strength you will find mentally and emotionally. How do you make your muscles strong? Work out, you exercise. If you just sit all day long, do nothing, do you think your muscles are going to be strong? No. You exercise those muscles so that they can be strong. You need to exercise these things. They are not going to come easily. right? And the more you do that, the more you exercise your mental and emotional clarity, the more you work with it, the more you prioritize your wellness, the more you are able to understand what is good for you and what is bad for you, the more you're able to master your emotions, the more you're able to take control. Uh, Stop giving, this remote control of your emotions, of your emotional well-being to others. And the more you understand that you can actually have emotional freedom in your life, that's how you are going to, the more you do that, the more you're gonna be more resilient, the more you're gonna be more strong emotionally and mentally.